Cue the cheesy podcast music.
Welcome to MegaFest, where we don't just manifest, we MegaFest. I'm your host, Megs Malloy. I'm creating a community of silly and soulful working moms who are mostly happy, but know they're capable of more. More self-love, more self-esteem, more self-trust, more calm, joy, natural highs, more magic in the world, and more laughter. Each week, me and my guests will bring you tips and tricks on how to make the most of your one precious life. And we're going to make them effective and efficient because ain't nobody got time for that. I believe in you. I see the light in you. I want you to shine your light. I want you to become all that you're capable of. So let's hang out. Let's MegaFest together. Wow, what a gal. So she's not only a coach, she's like a leader of coaches too. I don't normally do this, but I let Leah, our guest, choose the word of the day. And I thought she came up with a really good one. Here's the word of the day. It's expansion. According to Webster's, is the action of becoming larger or more extensive, a thing formed by the enlargement, broadening, or development of something. So most obviously, we use expansion as the expansion of ourselves and of our boundaries, of our personal development, expansion of our joy too. And Leah caught on really quick. She used the word of the day quite a bit. We laughed at our fart gun. So I hope you do too. Yay! We've got Leah Morris here.
Woo!
Yay. Thank you. Oh, Leah, you are just so beautiful inside and out. I went back to your Instagram page and I was like, oh my goodness, this woman is so beautiful. Was she a model? And then I scrolled back and I was like, oh yeah, she was a model. So
yeah, I was like, do I keep those photos there or do I delete them because I've changed so much? But it's kind of nice to look back.
Yeah, it is. Wow, you've done a lot of work. So we will get into all the things.
Okay.
But as a good Irishman at this party, I'm going to ask you, what will you have to drink?
Yes, I believe I love a good matcha latte on ice. Yeah, it's just kind of that nice, sustained energy and feels like a treat at the same time.
Yum. Okay, so what kind of milk?
So I'm like very hipster, apparently. I like oat milk.
Okay.
But, any kind of like almond milk is good too. But oat milk, just that rich and creamy yumminess. Yeah, I've been making it a lot at home. It's not quite the same as if I were to go to a cafe, but I'm working on the recipe.
Wow. God, that's a drink that nobody has mentioned yet on this show. And I'm really in awe. Like my interest is piqued and I'm going to have to try that for my own expansion.
Yes. I love it.
Because, with green tea is I'm drinking green tea right now, right? That's what matcha is.
Right. Yeah, it's like the powdered version of it. And I don't really know like the process, but there's like a different way they make it. And it's just really rich and sort of creamy in texture as opposed to like the watery green tea. So you kind of get the same benefits as you would just drinking green tea, but with just a little different vibe. I'm trying to move away from coffee, so I'm looking for alternatives. And so that's why I'm like, okay, matcha it is.
Oh, good for you. I know I think we all come to that moment. Well, maybe not all of us, but I know I sure have come to that moment where I'm like, okay, let me see if I can just live without coffee.
Yeah, unfortunately, I love coffee, so it's going to be a hard road.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So Leah, what are you famous for?
Something that my friends often say about me, they've actually like named it like you're doing the Leah, is is I find myself often in social situations in a corner with someone having a deep philosophical, emotional conversation. And it can either be, at a wedding, or I'm talking to the barista, or I think I've always just had this something written on the top of my forehead that says, tell me your life story, and I'll listen. And people just really sort of open up to me, and I love it. And so that's kind of what I've been known for in terms of, just this very like natural behavior that I can commonly be found doing.
Well, that lends itself to your new profession. And I say new just because we mentioned you were a model, but you've been doing this for a while. So was that a natural progression to become a coach?
Yes. The way I came to decide what to do there, I was in this time in my life, and I still model from time to time, just not at the extent that I used to. But I was at a time in my life where I was mainly working with my ex-partner. And when I got a divorce, I had to leave that profession. And so it was nice to sort of have modeling as something that kind of helped me through that transitioning space, but it definitely wasn't enough to, support me. I found myself sort of asking some questions like, what do I have that I can mix together to create some kind of sustainable source of income? And I wrote down on a piece of paper, like, I have this degree, I have these interests, I have these skills. And one of the things that I heard at the time from somewhere was, if you're doing something for free and you can monetize it, then you've cracked the system.
Ooh.
And that's why I was like, well, I do the Leah all the time. And so it just kind of that led me down this path of like, well, what is that? Like, I'm not a therapist. I don't have that educational background, but what could I make of that? And so coaching was this really natural path that I found, but also was just kind of always there.
And I think, Leah, I do the Leah too. And would you say this to be true, that you're actually like curious and caring about people, and like wondering what you can learn from them?
It fascinates me. It's like, I'm definitely curious and interested. And I think because, and you may notice this too, it's like when there is a genuine curiosity, people feel safer. It's like, okay, I can lean in. I know I'm not burdening this person. Like, there is, some kind of like space that is being held for me, as opposed to like the small talk. So how are you doing? And, you can kind of feel that energy of, I don't really want to know how you're doing.
And if I may, it seems like when you were having that fork in your life road where you were getting divorced, you went through so much, and you probably learned so much about yourself that you were inclined to help other people go through their own transitions too. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yeah. It was like getting through that was kind of like was where I kind of collected my data on like how to move through transitions in life. I think it's also through that process that I realized that I really could have used some support and guidance. And so I kind of created the program that I offer and the way that I work with clients with that in mind, of like, what did I want and need during that time? We all go through transitions. There's always either career change, relationship change, or maybe we're becoming something new, but there's always change. It's always happening. And, I got tired of hearing that it's hard, that change is just hard without any sort of solution or any kind of like, it's hard, but it can be a lot more directional. It can be a lot more easeful. It can be more expansive. Yes.
Good job.
I was hoping you would get that cue. So yeah, it definitely fueled and impacted how I work with people, my own journey. I always like to say that I don't encourage people to do anything that I haven't done myself. So it all feels really like aligned and of integrity.
So Leah, is this where the strengths building toolkit came from? Or what is that all about? I saw that on your website and I was like, strength building tools. Let's check this out. What's that all about?
If I think I know what you're talking about, I have like a few different tools there. There are, I think, different questions that you can ask yourself to sort of create more clarity. And I feel like when I talk to anybody, there is just like an innate strength that we all carry inside ourselves. But at some point or for some reason, we have been kind of tricked to think that we aren't. In terms of like tools, which I think people really like to hear about, like what can I do to change the way that I am feeling or that I'm doing things, I like to think of it as like what beliefs need to shift in order for you to remember that you already are. The questions that I have there are more along the lines of discovering what it is that really kind of you want to take ownership of again, and then figuring out what your strengths already are in terms of following your path, and then reflecting on what it is that you've already done, that you've overcome in the past, or that you've experienced before, that kind of like, oh yeah, I can do this. Like there's evidence of me being strong. So there's obviously different like techniques and things that you can do to sort of build your own personal development strength. Or when I think of strength, I think of like your trust in yourself or your confidence or your ability to be resilient. That all kind of intertwines there. But yeah, if I'm thinking of what you're thinking of, that's what that is.
I see. Okay. So there are like journal prompts to
Yes.
kind of get you to recognize that, like something else you say, that you don't need me, you need you. Mm-hmm. You have all the answers and you are enough.
Yeah, that's my motto. And I've actually never talked about my motto before, but I'm glad
Let's
you
talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's see, where do I begin here? I was choosing this path as a coach from a space of recovering from being someone who was always over supporting and over giving to other people in my life.
Which I think a lot of women can identify with. Yeah,
absolutely. And at the expense of my own well-being at most times. And it got to the point where I kind of looked around my life and I was like, I don't recognize any of this for like, none of this feels like mine. And what even is mine? And I kind of went through this like waking up process where I had to come to terms with the fact that I was choosing from a place of needing to be needed. I was attracting people who were very much takers that I could support and give to. And so part of that awareness also made me realize if I'm going to be doing something like coaching where I'm supporting, I need to make sure that it's from a healthy space and that probably the people in my client list are going to feel similarly as I do. And so not only for them to not need me, but for them to like not need other people as well, right? So it's just this idea of, yes, I'm here to support you, but like, I'm always going to point you back to yourself. This is not me giving you some kind of magic sauce. Like this is me just reflecting to you what you forgot you already have.
Oh, brilliant. Oh my gosh. Leah, when you said that you were attracting, did you say needers, takers? Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Like that felt like whoa. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause I feel that, mm-hmm. I think I have a tendency to surround myself with people like that too. And I'm, that was like a mirror and I saw the reflection. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like if you think about it, like if we're kind of in the back corner of a space talking to somebody, really hearing their story, that's a giant invitation. Like anybody who needs me, I'll listen, and it's a beautiful skill, I think, to be able to do that. and to like do the Leah or whatever. But taken too far can be extremely destructive and toxic. And I learned that the hard way for sure. I think I blamed a lot of people for a long time and sort of martyred myself. But, you know, there was a bigger question there. It's like, why do you keep choosing this though? Why time and time again are you consciously making the decision to put yourself in these situations? It can't all be everyone else.
Yeah, that's true. Taking responsibility for our actions and our choices is really so hard, but also a necessary step in personal development. Like Jack Canfield, who's the author of The Chicken Soup for the Soul. I don't know if you've picked up his like guidebook to a right life or whatever he calls it, but certainly it's not that. But his chapter 1 is like, stop blaming everyone else, and like, who do you blame? And you got to get rid of it, and don't get past this chapter if you can't stop blaming people. And really, I mean, that hit me so hard because I do have a tendency to kind of blame. And once you start in that cycle of like seeing, say, okay, for example, in my situation, it would be my husband. And I would just like blame things. Oh, he's an asshole. He's an asshole. And I have this, you know, self-fulfilling prophecy of a story of like, he's an asshole. And then all the behaviors that I see from him are just asshole behaviors. And it's like, well, I wonder why he's an asshole. Cause that's all I see. That's the story I'm telling myself. So, you know, start to having that shiro mentality and like also boundaries too, right? Like we cannot be the Leah for everybody. Oh, you know, only when we feel up for it and open for it. And, you know, speaking up and teaching people how to treat us too.
Yeah, absolutely. Boundaries are huge. And for someone that is kind of used to finding themselves in the role of, well, this is where I find my worth is in my ability to show up for everybody. It can be really uncomfortable to draw boundaries because you're like, well, if I'm not here for everybody, if I'm not that person, then will I still be loved? Will I still belong? And it's a tough thing to start doing, but it definitely changes the dynamics of your relationships. And I mean, just even the choices that you're making in general, if you kind of dial back that always available mentality.
Yeah. So Leah, how do you help your clients create more self-worth or just improve they already have it. So how do you help them bring it out of themselves, that inherent worthiness?
That's a great question. When I think of like self-worth, I think of self-esteem, which is how we think about ourselves. So like, what esteem do you place towards yourself? And I think in order to do that, we have to have a really clear idea of who we are, and we have to have a clear idea of who we want to be. And then we can kind of measure how far off am I from that want to be self from where I am now. And I think that's kind of the recipe of measuring your self-worth and measuring your self-esteem is compared to where I am and where I want to be, where am I on that? And it's different for everybody, right? Because we all have different perceptions of those ideas. So where I like to start is getting really clear on where they want to be. And so kind of creating a space where they can really, like I said before, take ownership of what are the things at my core that I need in my life, and how do I want to be showing up? How do I want to be feeling in relationships and my career, etc. And then once we have like a really clear vision of that future version of that higher self, then my work is tending to the current self and finding ways to pull out what are the limiting beliefs that you're having, what are the fears, what are the thoughts that are not serving you, and then just kind of constantly coming to those with tenderness and compassion and love and sort of reparenting the current self to finally see themselves differently. So there's this idea of there's nothing wrong with me where I am. I know where I want to be. I'm doing well right now too. Like I am in a good space and I love myself for these reasons. And so it's really working on their perception of self in the current time. And so by the time we're done with our coaching program, that gap between where they are and where they want to be has really closed a lot, because all of a sudden they're seeing themselves as that higher version, because there's been a shift of focus and a shift of their lens has been cleansed, I like to say.
Yeah, it's not muddied by, like you said, limiting beliefs, past things that we've learned in our past, ways of being. And that is just really amazing too, because, when you talked about focus, right? It's like having that intention to go forward and having an awareness of the thought patterns that are holding us back, and how if we shift them, then it's like taking the brake off of our life.
Oh, I like that metaphor. Yeah, totally. You're kind of just getting out of your own way.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I liked how you talked about, the things that you want in your life, not so much maybe like material things or like promotions, or maybe that's it, but just feelings, like focusing on how you want to feel, because sometimes those feelings are available to us right now. And it's just like rewiring our brain to kind of be more inclined to feel that way instead of the old kind of like lower happiness vibe way.
Yeah. Well, it's like what you said, that like self-fulfilling prophecy of like, if I only see my husband as the person to blame, then I will find reasons to blame him, and I will see those elements of him. And so the same for ourselves. Like if we believe that we are to blame for life, or that we are to blame for, I don't know, it's called over internalizing, is when you think that everything is going wrong and it's probably your fault. And it's learning like, maybe I'm not to blame for everything, and maybe not everyone else is to blame for everything, but figuring out, what do I want to believe about myself in a healthier way, starting to see the world through the lens of that new belief. So maybe the belief shifts from it's always my fault to I take responsibility for what is mine, and I give responsibility to the proper person whose it is too. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I think as I definitely have found myself over internalizing as well. And maybe it comes back to also in a way like controlling the things that we can control. Your external environment is not always going to be something that provides you happiness and comfort. That needs to come from within, and knowing the boundary between what is external and what is internal, and taking responsibility for each one.
Yeah. I think it's like this really healthy dance that you come to of how to categorize what, instead of that default. How do I master my ability to see something as it shows up and know where to put it appropriately?
This is an awesome episode of MegaFest, but I'm just going to call a quick TO to tell you about the Soulgasm Society. My mission is to create a community of supportive and uplifting women who want to know how to make their one short precious life all the more joyful, add in some play and celebration, and learn the science behind how do you make your brain happy, all the techniques on how to calm your nervous system, and how to not fly off the mommy hamster wheel, because we can't all stop working, and you can't really get rid of your kids for more than 2 weeks. You gotta deal with it, and the best way to make your life happy is from the inside out. If you're not gonna do it for yourself, do it for your kids. They will see a difference. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, and there is so much truth to that. So the Soulgasm Society is your answer. Come join us. You can click the link in the bio of my Instagram or the link in the show notes. I can't wait to have multiple simultaneous soulgasms with you. All right, now back to MegaFest. Leah, what's something that you're working on right now? Like what's your personal development journey like right now?
Well, I am getting married next week.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. Okay, I saw on your Instagram a reel of that very, Hugh Grant looking fellow, and he just looked like so adorable and all his little dance moves, and he like keep a straight face, but kind of, is he like, he's almost want to say like, is he British? Like what? He's got a very like, I'm serious, but no, I'm not.
Yeah. That's totally him. I'm going to have to tell him that. He's going to love it. Yeah, he's very much like, if you meet him, you'll always get a seriousness, but if you're lucky enough to know him on a deeper level, you'll see the twinkle in his eye, and he'll kind of like, put down that goofier side. So yeah, he is just this incredible man that I've been lucky enough to meet, and we're eloping next week. So it's actually going to be both of our second marriage. And so there's a lot of really cool connective elements that we've been able to cover with each other just because of our common experience with what a marriage could be like if it's not intentional, and what we'd like it to say, like
not healthy.
Right.
Because yours is going to be intentional.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And really kind of going over like, what do we want to create based on our experiences? I think I won't speak for him, but I know for me personally, I did not give marriage the thought and intention that I needed to the first time. It was more of a expectation and, just kind of like, well, we've been dating long enough and this is what my family believes that I should do, which I learned a lot of lessons from, so I wouldn't trade that. But yeah, it wasn't healthy. And now with that new hard-earned wisdom, I feel like it's going to be the easiest yes in the world to say. And I'm just so excited to have it be the two of us as well. I think that's like a big element of this too, is like, this is between the two of us. This is our choice between the two of us. It's just going to be us. So very excited.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know that I always say like the most exciting thing is being a bride to be. And then the next best is being a bride. And then after that, it's being a newlywed. It's like so fun.
Yeah. I'm like having the best time just kind of relishing in this little moment.
Yeah. So that's kind of your new, realm of expansion is, this into your next stage of your life and picking your life partner. Yeah. Now he must be sort of at least into like personal development, or has like, he's okay with it.
Oh, he loves it. Yeah. Actually, I think like on our very first date, we had gotten into talking about narcissism like within the first half hour, and we love philosophizing together and talking about how we can better ourselves, and that's what's really kind of drawn me to him. But he has a very different profession, which I think balances the two of us out. He's a lawyer, so he's very much like set rules to follow, and I kind of tend to be more in flow and emotional, which is nice.
That's funny. I had you're the third life coach I know who's married to a lawyer.
Really?
So it must be a thing.
Well, I guess it is.
Yeah. Where are you going to elope?
So we're going to go down to Baja, Mexico, and we're going for I think about 8 or 9 days, and it's just it feels like a vacation with a really beautiful ceremony in the middle of it. Yeah, very, very excited.
So Leah, you are a heart-centered, soul-centered person. So what sort of ceremony have you added to your ceremony that is like symbolism or anything like that kind of symbolizes your union?
Thanks for asking. I have not. It's such an exciting event that I haven't had a chance to really, talk about it to a lot of people. But one of the things is I am not going to be carrying around a bouquet, even though I love flowers and I love bouquets. The idea was how do I have my support system and my family and friends be present without them being present? And so what I'm going to do is actually carry a book that I'll have everybody sign before they send us off. We're having like a little get together for that, just to kind of have their wishes for us there, because I know that like, even though it is between the two of us, having like a really solid support system is essential to helping us to feel supported as a couple and to like solidify that, that foundation. This is kind of like the beginning, right? This like building a new life together. And I feel like having the support system and that element in it feels really good. And just kind of a reminder that like, even though like we are doing this alone together, we're not alone. It's all connected. We are very much like needing community type of people. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. Make up your own traditions and what works for you. And that is really, really so cool.
Thank you. Yeah. The beauty of this is that I get to make everything up, which feels like just this big creative process. I love it.
Yeah, weddings are so great for that. If if you're into it, some people get super overwhelmed with it, but I loved it.
Yeah, I definitely feel zero overwhelm. I feel very much at ease with every part of the process. And I think it's just the way that you look at it too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, mindset is everything going into it. But I guess at this point I could just ask you, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you really want to share with our listener today?
Yeah. So I've been doing this for about 6 years, coaching, and I love it. It aligns perfectly with my values and my vision for my life right now, which is ever evolving and changing. So I can't say this is like a forever thing, but I absolutely love this phase of my business. And one of the things that I recently developed very quickly actually is my Life Remade method. It kind of consists of 4 different elements. So I like to keep things really simple. One of them is really understanding how the past impacts your current state, making sure there's a baseline awareness of you are not just the way you are. You are the way you are because of a long line of experiences and experiences that your parents have had, and just kind of really understanding there's nothing wrong with you. You're just kind of reacting in the way that you know how based on your past experiences. So that's one element of my method. And it can be a little therapeutic in nature to be able to talk about past things like that. So I kind of tread lightly in that area. And the other element is knowing and being clear about where you're going from here. So we talked a lot about like your vision and sort of creating that space of what is my highest self? What is that version of me that I want to see? So that's another element of it. I like to add the other element, which is awareness and accountability. So this is more of the, I guess you could call it more masculine space of like facing yourself and holding yourself accountable to the things that you are doing, are saying about yourself, are wanting for your life, are managing. It's the element of owning up. And then the final element is compassion and understanding. I like to always say that I put an umbrella over all of my work with compassion. So none of this is meant to be judgmental in any way. None of this is meant to shame or blame in any way. I like to look at things and encourage my clients to look at things from a space of, compassion. And how would you treat a child who is going through something similar? How would you treat your best friend? Would you get curious? Would you try to understand more rather than just kind of putting a stamp of failure on whatever it is that you're hearing or seeing? That sort of 4-part Venn diagram is what I've recently created. It kind of like came through when I was meditating. And what I'm hoping to do with that is kind of break it down into more of a method that I can actually like show other coaches and teach. because I do think it's like really efficient and I've seen a lot of amazing results from it.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I saw that too. I was like, yes, this is it. That's it. And, Leah, so one thing that came to mind, and I do have a whole episode about for women when we are trying to manifest or megafest or create the life we want, which is also I call realizing popularity. All these things, when we want to allure our desires, it is sometimes hard for women to figure out or admit or feel worthy of what they want. So how do you tease that out of your clients to allow them to fully dream? I mean, it could almost be like an A/B kind of test, right? Do you want to feel this or do you want to feel this? Right? It's like, do you want to feel regret or do you want to feel delight? Like, I'm going to choose delight. But, how do you massage that out of somebody?
So there's usually like two parts to this. And again, I'm going to kind of use my method, but where did that belief that you aren't worthy come from? Where did you adopt that from? Was that something that you saw your parents doing, that you saw your own mother doing, that she wasn't worthy of having her own time for herself, right? Oftentimes we adopt these behaviors because of the beliefs that we have learned from other people and seeing how other people do things. And so it's really starting there of like, maybe this isn't quite your belief. Maybe this is just an old thing that you're borrowing that you don't need to borrow anymore. And then replacing it with a new positive belief. If you did believe that you deserved to have that life that you want, then what kind of things would you be doing differently? And sort of painting that picture of, say you are the type of person who, like, no hesitation, I'm fully going to go for whatever it is that I want. I'm going to attract that kind of love or friendship or whatever it is that you're kind of trying to bring into your life. How would I be behaving? And from that kind of outsider's perspective, we can start to see how someone might change the way that they're acting, how they might talk differently, how they might choose differently. And then I ask the client to just for fun, pretend that they are that person and pretend, from a space of obviously like after enough practice, you're going to become that person, but really kind of like until that moment comes, sort of acting as if and dressing the part, so to speak.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That is so great because when you were saying that, I got this idea in my head, this image of those little bracelets, the plastic bracelets that are different colors. And it used to say like WWJD, like what would Jesus do? But it's like, what would your higher self do? Like just coming back to that.
Yes. I love that. I actually have them name their higher self. And sometimes it's their own name, but sometimes it's a different name. And I'm a big visual person. So I like to write down WWMD, right? What would Megs do? And that kind of visual prompt is a reminder to like, what would my higher self, insert name, do? Yeah. So I love that you said that. I use that.
Wow, that's so funny. I'm totally open to your vibe. That's so cool that I got the visual of like what your technique is.
Yeah.
Wow. So when people want to change and make space for their higher selves, did I see you do a 6-week program or 8-week or 6 month or what if they wanted to work with you then, Leah, what would they do?
So you saw all of those things or a couple of those things. Nobody's, exactly the same, but I do believe that we all move similarly. So there's like an 8-week program, a 6-month program, and a year-long program. And that just kind of depends on like how much time you want to spend with me, how much time you have to, if you're like needing to rush a decision, the 8-week would be better, but typically the 6-month is where most people like to choose to work with me. What we do within those 6 months is we move through a program where we're getting really clear on where it is you want to go from here, what lights you up, what's important. And then why aren't you there yet is where we spend a majority of my program. So this is where we kind of face our shadows and do the inner child work and look at how are we self-sabotaging, how are we getting in our own way. That's kind of like the bulk of the program, just because it's great to have clarity, but in order to have lasting change, you need to know where the root of like your obstacles actually comes from and sort of digging them up. So once we've kind of created more space by digging up a lot of those roots, then you can kind of feel that expansive energy and yes. Yeah, I know it was a long one. And you can kind of feel the momentum building. So you've kind of alleviated yourself of those like muddy lens things that are happening. And then towards the end of the program, I always like to make sure that people can coach themselves when I'm out of the picture. So my goal, again, is not to have you need me. My goal is for you to only need yourself. And so that's where I want to leave my clients is you can trust yourself to face the next big challenge, the next big transition, and you have all the tools you need. So that's kind of a breakdown of the program that I offer.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So good, Leah. You've really got it figured out. And you're right. All of those past experiences that may have been painful have really led you to this moment and enabled you to really help other people to learn how to be their higher selves.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, so good. So good. You really have it figured out. That's very impressive.
Thank you.
Leah, I have one last question. So what is your favorite song that is just going to get you on the dance floor and pump you up and you just love to shake your booty?
Oh my gosh. So I have this actual playlist of songs that make me want to shake my booty. And I'm always adding to it, but it's called Upbeat. And maybe I'll share a link with you so you can share it with your audience or something.
Yes.
Yeah, but one of the songs that comes up, at least recently, has been, do you know who Shawn Mendes is?
Oh, yeah. I've seen him on some of my playlists.
Yeah.
It's kind of a DJ, sort of electronic music.
He's like, for the younger group of kids, which is kind of funny that I'm like drawn to him. But so Shawn Mendes, There's Nothing Holding Me Back. It's like, you know this one?
Okay, it was in the movie Sing 2, and I have kids, so we're watching Sing 2, and we love soundtracks, and yeah, that is a great one. There's a scene in the movie where it's a gorilla character, and he's like wants to learn how to dance in the show, and he's like trying to convince this street dancer to teach him how to dance instead of his stodgy like ballet teacher, and he just like he's in the restaurant with her, and he's like believe me, like I am who I say I am, like I'm a Broadway star and I want to be a dancer, and he just like starts singing that song in the middle of the restaurant. It's so good. All the moments building up to it.
Oh my God, I love it. I need to see that one. I've only seen the first one, I think.
Oh, Sing 2 is like, yeah, it's a good one.
Okay.
Rarely are the sequels, the better movie, but I think Sing 2 is really good.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. So I know that song. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
That'll really get you going.
Yeah, listen to his version. It's like, I think there's a couple different versions out, but you kind of get the message, right? Like, it's just it like amps me up every time I hear it.
Yeah. And you were going to say this is something that you sing?
Oh, in the car.
Oh, okay.
Like very loudly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you sing in front of your fiance? Oops. Sorry. Do you sing in front of your fiance?
Yes, I do. Yeah. We get very goofy together. So I usually sing in like some kind of like an accented voice just to make it extra special.
So fun.
Yeah.
Aww. Well, Leah, thank you so much for being here. And I'm just hoping that everything that your heart desires will come to you, and you are so worthy of everything, and you are helping so many people just by being you and getting your word out and your methods. I mean, they came to you. That idea chose you, and just keep, bringing it to the people, because you are expanding the love in our universe.
That's a good one. That's a great one to leave it off on.
And congratulations on your elopement.
Thank you.
Very exciting. I can't wait to see are you going to post something on Instagram?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. You'll see.
Aw, Leah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. And this was a really fun conversation. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I forgot to mention too, if any of you want to connect with me. Yeah, I have Instagram where you can connect with me. It's at Leah E. Morris. And one thing I recently started about a month ago was an online community called the Life Remade community. It's through the Mighty Networks platform. I am so excited about it. It's kind of just been this really great space to take people off of social media and onto a more intentional, safer space where there's like-minded individuals. So that's something new and exciting that I am offering and that I'm really loving putting together.
Oh, awesome. I didn't notice that on your website, or is it on there?
It's kind of hidden. I haven't quite done the full marketing on it yet, but I'm loving being in it and just having just much more vulnerable conversations with people and seeing them support each other. It's just a very warm social space. So very excited.
Go check it out. Life Remade community. Is that what you're calling it?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Yay.
Thank you.
All right. So I think that's it. We did it.
Yay.
That was a fun conversation. You're so easy to talk to, Leah. Parting is such sweet sorrow, but I'm so grateful for your time and your energy and your wisdom. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Megs. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Okay. You too. Bye.
Well, that was really something else, wasn't it? I so enjoyed talking with Leah. I really love her motto of, you don't need me, you need you, which is so true. The answers are within yourself. And sometimes we just need a little help, a little guidance in recognizing and trusting ourselves that we have the answer and we are capable of figuring it out. And as my shrink used to tell me, you can handle anything that comes your way. You'll want to be sure to go to Leah's website, liferemade.com, to download your strength building tools, which is a set of journal prompts that can help you get in touch with your own strength and your own why. And if you would like a little bit more guidance in figuring out your why and your future direction and figuring out whatever's holding you back, Leah is an excellent choice of coach. You can find out more about her, as I said, liferemade.com, or go to her Instagram, Leah, Leahe Morris, and she also has a YouTube channel, which I will link in the show notes. This whole conversation has me so fired up. I'm just so excited to embrace life and increase my happiness baseline. And I really feel worthy of all that I desire. And I hope you do too. So let me know, how are you feeling? Are these great episodes? Do you want to hear more about a certain topic? I want to know. That's what MegaFest is all about. Collaborating, listening, and expansion is definitely in the realm of megafesting. Because remember, we don't just manifest, we megafest.